Is Diavolo's stand really that weak? Some people say he's the weakest boss, even claiming Risotto almost took him down alone. But in reality, Diavolo wasn't going all out in that fight. If you judge by stand ability alone, he's top tier in any part of the series. His stand, King Crimson, relies on the synergy of two abilities. The first is Epitaph's Foresight. It doesn't show possibilities, it shows a fixed outcome. Once seen, it cannot be changed. Sounds passive? Not quite. The key is, he can adjust his actions in advance and align himself with the best possible outcome. The second is Time Skip. He can erase a span of time. During that window, he avoids direct impact and bypasses major risks. Some people think this isn't very offensive, but the real strength comes from how it pairs with Foresight. See the result first, then skip the unfavorable process. Keep only what benefits you. It's like constantly refining the situation. Put simply, it's like knowing the answer ahead of time, then skipping every wrong step and landing on the correct result. This combo isn't about brute force, it's about controlling outcomes. So the real strength isn't raw power, but consistent control of the battlefield. His defeat wasn't because King Crimson is weak, it was because his opponent was overwhelming. If he hadn't faced Giorno, but someone else instead, would he still have lost? If Diavolo really obtained the arrow, would the ending change? First, Requiem isn't created by the arrow alone. The arrow acts more like an amplifier, pushing one's will to the limit. Giorno's core ability is giving life. That's why Gold Experience Requiem was born. Its effect is simple: reset everything to zero. The result of any action is directly denied. But if it were Diavolo, his nature is the pursuit of absolute control and total safety. King Crimson can erase processes, but cannot decide the final outcome. If it were enhanced by the arrow, what changes might be the rules themselves. First possibility, only one outcome is allowed. All other paths are removed, leaving only his victory. Second, fate cannot be changed. Even if you see the future, the world corrects itself. Third, time is rewritten. The result comes first and the process no longer matters. At that point, it's no longer a battle, but reality being locked in place. However, because of Diavolo's nature, the outcome could be worse. He has a split identity, and his will isn't unified. But Requiem strengthens a stable will, so the result may not be domination, but backlash. By locking outcomes repeatedly, he could trap himself as well, falling into a loop that cannot be changed. If the one chosen were Diavolo, could he really control this kind of power? Why does Vanilla Ice feel more terrifying than almost every other JoJo villain? Back in early Part 3, a lot of stands were basically stat-based abilities, like Strength, Wheel of Fortune, or even Enya's Justice. Most of them relied on raw power, range, or overwhelming numbers. But Vanilla Ice was different. His stand, Cream, was one of the earliest true space-type abilities in JoJo. The moment it touches you, part of your body is simply erased. You can't really block it, and brute force barely matters. Once Vanilla Ice hides inside the void, he can even erase his own presence. Avdol's flame detection couldn't sense him. Iggy's nose couldn't either. That's why Avdol was taken out almost immediately. And the scariest part is, Cream doesn't fight like a normal close-range stand. It doesn't overpower enemies. It deletes them from space itself. Of course, the ability isn't flawless. While hiding in the void, Vanilla Ice can't actually see outside. He has to move based on instinct and prediction. And whenever he moves, the void consumes everything in its path, leaving visible trails behind. Later, Polnareff used that weakness to finally fight back. Even today, Cream is still considered one of the most dangerous stands in JoJo. What other non-boss stands do you think have pressure levels close to Vanilla Ice? Is Valentine really the weakest boss? A lot of people think his stand, D4C, is actually pretty weak. He struggles in close combat, gets overwhelmed by Diego, and even exits mid-story, with another version of Diego taking over. But if you only look at that, you're underestimating D4C. First, its core ability. When two versions of the same person from different worlds come into contact, they repel each other and disappear. That means Valentine doesn't need to fight head-on. He can simply bring another you into the same space, and the situation quickly spirals. And this rule does not affect him. He can continuously call in other versions of himself, creating constant pressure. Second, body switching. As long as he transitions between worlds, he can continue acting in a new body while keeping his memories. That gives him far more room for error than most stand users. Third, the activation condition. As long as his body is compressed or trapped, the ability can trigger. The condition is broad, which makes normal attacks hard to pin him down. Finally, the evolved form, D4C, Love Train. With the saint's corpse, he can move within a path of light. Inside that space, misfortune is redirected, and he is barely affected. Because of this, under certain conditions, he becomes extremely hard to counter. So what do you think? Is Valentine's stand actually top tier?